Hi again, this is Bob Milam from the Salt Lake chapter of the Utah High School Football Officials Association with another study topic for 2019, today focusing on punts and as a form of scrimmage kick, but we're going to focus only on punts today. So the overview of what we're going to talk about today, we'll look at the background, the definitions, and the big picture about what a punt is, and we'll talk about specifically the definition of a punt and a scrimmage kick formation and what makes it different from other plays. We'll also talk about how to award a new series after a punt. We'll also cover first touching, we'll cover kick catch interference, roughing the kicker and the snapper. We'll cover the penalties and options that could happen during a scrimmage kick punt. We'll also touch on the mechanics that are necessary for a punt and refer you to where to look and study in the book for all of these topics. Then we'll sum everything up and again ask questions. Now today's topic is rather short, but we'll dive right in. So the big picture. First, a punt, as defined by the book, is a type of legal scrimmage kick where the ball is snapped to a player in the backfield who then behind his neutral zone drops the ball and kicks it before it hits the ground. That's a punt. Usually it's done on fourth down because it signals a forfeiture of possession of the ball. But it doesn't always have to be on fourth down. A punt, though, cannot result in a field goal. It can only result in a possession change. So you cannot score any points off of a punt. The definitions are found here in Rule 224 and on Rule 6.2, which covers all scrimmage kicks. But a punt is clearly defined in 224.8, found on page 33 in the rule book. And I urge you to go there and look and learn what these definitions are. A punt may not be touched or recovered by Team K beyond the neutral zone until Team R has touched it. So, if it's touched by Team K or recovered by Team K, they may not gain possession until the punt is touched by Team R. There are differing restrictions between free kicks and scrimmage kicks, which you need to look at in the rule book, particularly Rule 6.2 that covers scrimmage kicks. So look at these two differing restrictions. A scrimmage kick, the basic difference is that a scrimmage kick, the ball is put in play by snap. It's not placed on a tee and kicked by a kicker who approaches the ball. The play must be started with a snap. The key point to learn today, as with all kicks, is this: the fundamental of when the kick ends. This is found in Rule 224.2 and also in the fundamentals on page 84. Learn this. This is a key, especially you back judges, this is a key to getting these calls correct. All right, let's look at the scrimmage kick formation. This is found in Rule 214.2b. And as you notice in the photo, we see a team that's lined up in what we would ordinarily call punt formation. This is what is described in Rule 214.2b. No player in position to receive a hand-to-hand snap. And at the snap, we have a K player who is 10 yards or more behind the line of scrimmage and in position to receive the long snap. Now the 10 yards, okay, you might be 9, you might be 11, you might be 9.5. Don't split hairs there. If they're in this type of a formation, regardless of how long that snap is, sometimes teams will place their kicker just a little bit shy of the 10-yard requirement. Don't split hairs. So, does this qualify under 214.2b? Yes, it does. And does K have to be in this formation to execute a legal punt? Absolutely not. They can punt from virtually any offensive formation. So why do we have this rule? Why is this formation important? Well, for two reasons. First, numbering exceptions will apply. This will be covered in another of our training videos. Secondly, it triggers the snapper protection under Rule 946 for roughing the snapper. If the team is not in this formation, the snapper is not protected on the snap. So umpires, make sure that they're in this formation before you advise the defense to lay off the snapper. Now, after a punt, a new series is going to be awarded. So we're going to cover this, first looking at where no first touching is involved. After a punt, the ball is usually awarded to R following a legal punt, and this is covered on page 51. K cannot recover a punt beyond the neutral zone unless touched by R beyond the neutral zone. But K can recover and advance a punt recovered behind the neutral zone. So again, this is why wings, at least one of you needs to stay put until that punt has crossed and will not return behind the neutral zone. But if K does recover and advance a punt that they've recovered behind their neutral zone, they must make the line to gain unless R touches the kick beyond the neutral zone. And if they're short, it will become the next down. So if K advances a punt that has not been touched by R and they're short of the line to gain, it will become the next down. Touching by R in or behind the expanded neutral zone is ignored. So if a punt is partially blocked by R, that does not count as a touch downfield to allow K to recover the ball. That touching by R in or behind the neutral zone is ignored. A new series can be awarded to either K or R following a legal punt under 513F, again on page 51. A rule that you should study, because if the ball is touched by R beyond the neutral zone, wherever K recovers it, we will have a new series. So let's look at this first touching concept. This touch is an act that is committed by Team K, according to the rules. R touching the punt initiates certain other protocols, but it is not first touching. First touching is an act only committed by Team K. Possession will be awarded to Team R at the spot of the touching by K if, unless R elects to take the result of the play, or this touching is canceled if R thereafter commits a live ball foul during the down, or if the foul for any penalty during the down is accepted. This definition is in Rule 516 on page 52, and I urge you to go look this up. So we need to have a beanbag down at the spot of first touching where R can elect to either take the result of the play or awarded the ball at the spot of first touching unless it's thereafter canceled. Now let's look at a new series with first touching involved. Some important points to remember. Where was the ball touched relative to the neutral zone and who touched it? Now I love these little matrices. If you've watched my penalty enforcement video, you've seen these. But let's take a look at this. So if the ball is touched behind or in the expanded neutral zone by either K or R, we're just going to ignore that. So where was it touched relative to the neutral zone is important. But if it's touched beyond the neutral zone, if it's first touched by K, that's a first touch beanbag. If the ball is first touched by R, it's live and can be recovered by either team. And remember, in all four cases, it's still a kick. It hasn't ended yet. So whoever recovers that live ball touched by R beyond the neutral zone is going to get a first down in a new series, regardless of which team it is. So why do the back judges, you guys that work back there all the time, why do you need two beanbags? Well, here's the reason. One for the first touch and one for the end of the kick. If we have a first touching by K beyond the neutral zone, we have to have a beanbag at that spot. For the end of the kick, we need that for penalty enforcement. So two beanbags. All back judges need to carry two beanbags, one for first touch and one for the end of the kick. Let's talk about kick-catch interference for just a moment. Kick-catch interference only applies to Team K. Team R cannot commit kick-catch interference. And it applies until the kick is touched by R. The exception, K may catch, touch, muff, or bat a scrimmage kick in flight beyond the neutral zone and the goal line if no R player is in position to catch the ball. This is different than a scrimmage or than a free kick. A scrimmage kick may be caught, touched, muffed, or batted by Team K as long as no R player is in position to catch the ball. Let's look at roughing the kicker and snapper. Both penalties are 15-yard automatic first down fouls. Snapper protection is triggered by formation, as we covered earlier, 214-2B. Kicker protection is covered by these two rules: the definition of what a kicker is and defenseless player articles G and H. Look at these two. But there's some exceptions that are found on page 72, and here they are. If the contact is unavoidable and it's not certain a kick will be made, then you may be able to waive roughing the kicker. If the contact is unavoidable and the defense touches the kick near the kicker, you can waive it. If the contact is slight and is caused by the movement of the kicker, if the contact is caused by R being blocked into the kicker by K. But in all of these cases, use common sense. Referees, this is your call. Make sure that you use common sense and you see the whole play. Don't let your eyes drift away from the kicker. Use common sense and keep your eyes where they're supposed to be. Penalties and options during scrimmage kick punts. Dead ball fouls before the down, there's no change in the rules. Handle those as we would ordinarily: a false start, an encroachment, delay of game, other dead ball fouls. Just penalize them from the succeeding spot and move on. Live ball fouls during the down by K could be simultaneous with the snap, prior to or during the kick by K, could involve illegal contact like holding or illegal blocks, or could involve kick-catch interference. Certain fouls by R, the PSK rule will be in effect, and look at 216.2H on page 30 for when those take effect. And we have a new option as of 2018 for fouls by K that are not kick-catch interference during the kick down and prior to the end of the kick, where K will not be the next team to snap the ball. Then we have a succeeding spot option. And essentially, that is for these fouls here. And remember, kick-catch interference is not included in this succeeding spot option. Scrimmage kick mechanics can be found on pages 43 to 45 for 5-man mechanics in the mechanics book. But one thing to keep in mind: if the ball is snapped near A's goal line, wings, heads up. Stick around a little longer to make sure that that ball does clear from the goal line area. Your referee will likely be on the end line and not have the goal line covered. So wings and umpire, you need to help if you can. But just remember, in any case, screwy stuff happens on punts all the time. So just be aware. Snaps go over the kicker's head. There's kick-catch interference downfield, fair catch, balls out of bounds. All kinds of screwy stuff can happen on punts. So be aware. All right, let's sum up what we've talked about today. There's a difference between scrimmage kicks and free kicks. And you need to understand the scrimmage kick formation for punts, 214-2B, in order to trigger snapper protection. Who's going to get the ball next after this punt? And what determines which team will get the ball next? If we have first touching, who did it and where did it happen relative to the neutral zone? If we have kick-catch interference, what are the rules and enforcements there? Go back and study your rule book and your cheat card for penalty enforcement to help you with this. Make sure you protect your kicker and snapper appropriately, but not overly so. Review the new scrimmage kick penalty options and study hard on the scrimmage kick mechanics. Finally, just be ready for the weird stuff, because it's going to come on a punt. I can guarantee you that. Well, thanks today for listening. If you have questions, please reach out to me. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.